The Ashridge estate, which we're currently walking through in the wooded area, this is synonymous with a lot of your big feature movies throughout the decades because of its proximity to Pinewood Studios, which is probably about between 10-15 miles further southwest of here. Some of the films that have been shot here have been scenes from Maleficent, Les Mis, Beauty and the Beast, Robin Hood, Stardust, The Dirty Dozen, First Night, Bridget Jones and the Edge of Reason, Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Griswold, and Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, all shot in this area. So it certainly has some film history. Now the film that this location that we're trying to find is from a classic early 2000s British cult horror movie, Marshall. Now he was responsible for a film which also has a huge cult following, which I absolutely cannot stand because it's all based around werewolves. So it's not my sort of favourite genre at all, really. I don't know what it is with werewolves. I don't mind wolves, I don't mind the wolf man, but it's the in-between creature formation of the two which really, I don't know, puts me hair standing on edge. And I just well, I don't freak out at it because I'm pretty old now, but I'm not comfortable with them, should we just say. And that film, of course, was Dog Soldiers. He then went on to produce this movie, and the film itself is about a group of friends, all young women. I think there's 6 of them in total, and basically they used to do the old adventure stuff like your water rafting, etc. And one of them has an accident involving her family. She is the only survivor. Now a year after this, they all decide to get together again, and they come to this shack in the woods. It is actually set in the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina, but they've done the movie setting here in Ashridge and up in Scotland because they deemed it safer to produce the movie here, and obviously with its proximity to Pinewood Studios. The term spelunking, used in America and Canada, or potholing here in the UK, is synonymous with caving, and the idea was the girls would go down there, do some adventuring. Now unfortunately they get deep into these caves and they get lost. Now after a period of time they find a deep hidden den full of discarded animal bones, and then from that moment on they confront some creatures. So it's true, it does exist. This is your abandoned log cabin in the woods from the movie The Descent. They said it's an old hunting shooting lodge which got remodeled after a fire in 1989, and this was used as your film set. The girls would meet up here, have their party, their fun the night before, and then go off into the cave system. Wow. It's obviously seen better times. Weather torn, the wind, the rain taking its toll on it, but it obviously had some sort of base to it because it's got a brick chimney, and you see brick underneath as well. Is it quite eerie or spooky? Not during the daytime, no, but I'd imagine at night it possibly could be. That really is a super cool find. A bit of British cult horror movie history right there. I do have a few pictures that I've brought with me. So this is your movie poster from the film. It said it released in 2005. It is an 18. It was seen as quite depressing by the American audience because pretty much it was all death. Not many people survived it, if at all. Possibly one, I believe. Now this shot of the young ladies was taken probably from about this point, and it depicts them standing there at the front of that the night before their adventure starts. And of course we have nothing without our creatures, our so-called stars of the film, which are your crawlers, which look like this. So they're a humanoid character, no hair on them, they lived in the dark, they have eyes, although they have very, very poor vision, and razor-like, sort of sharkish even teeth, which they would devour their prey, in this instance being the young ladies. A real battle of survival. I would certainly imagine that this have some sort of listing status to it, what with it being barriered totally off on the outside so you can't gain real access to it. I dare say eventually it will fall in on itself, and then perhaps they might look at clearing it, I don't know, maybe rebuilding something. That certainly hasn't been rebuilt itself since the late 80s, but it truly is a great find. To find something, a piece of movie history, abandoned in the woods, so you're getting a bit of everything. You know, obviously there's not so much an urbex because I can't actually get inside it, but all the same it is really fascinating just to come across something like this. I've got to handle one heck of a climb to get to this place, which starts now, so I'll try and keep my breath back as much as possible, but here goes. I mean, you guys can see exactly the same as I can as this continues to climb, and that is at least 75%. The camera is sort of pointing upwards in the direction I'm going. If I point it straight, it's like that. Well guys, I'm out of breath already, but just look at the roots growing out on the banks. It's like this all the way down to the Devil's Bridge, probably homes now to bunnies, etc. So we're just simply continuing our climb. That's where we've come from, and we've got to continue all the way up there. Then it plateaus at the top, and then it starts to descend. Just totally bizarre, guys. Right, in we go, guys. This place is really, really strange. I've taken maybe 2 or 3 steps in, and automatically it's 10 degrees cooler. Reason for this being probably because it's a huge wind tunnel. There's no way for the wind to escape once it's in, so it just furrows its way through here, through these high banks that you'll come across very shortly. Now, I've been passed by a guy on a mountain bike and a couple walking a dog, but generally animals will not come down here of their own accord. They do not like it, and it's probably for this reason coming up about now. As we make our way further and further down, you'll see banks starting to appear either side. Your peripheral vision disappears and it becomes more of a tunnel vision. Once you're in here, there is no way out. And I suppose the gap across is probably 8 feet. But it's really dense, really eerie, and really spooky. Now, this original flint and stone wall is reminiscent of what you will see at Berkhamsted Castle. This is the original. All the brickwork that you see comes after that. Now, my beliefs changed after my first visit here, with it being called the Devil's Bridge, and I found something on the way out which I knew of its existence, but it brings the whole tale together, and you get an understanding of the reason why it's called the Devil's Bridge, which I'll show you once we've got out of here. But we'll continue. It's a bit sketchy, not exactly sturdy underfoot. See what I mean, guys? Once you're in, unless you can seriously climb, get your fingers and feet in them holes, you are not getting out. And you can see what looks like some of the trees have collapsed from the top bank and fallen in. I dare say that happens a lot, and you start to get all the ivy and holly growing over the side. Certainly spooky. Now you imagine, I think it was about 1 o'clock in the morning when me and Paul done this last time, a year ago, with its weird noises. People have said they've seen red eyes and lights over the top. Make of that what you will, but that there in front of you is the Devil's Bridge. How bizarre is that? People had mentioned seeing monks. Just going back just to show you, perhaps they were not seeing a dead monk, but these guys there, they are actual monks. Totally bizarre. I had said that on our way back last time, in the pitch black darkness, early hours of the morning, we was met by a set of eyes, or several sets of eyes. They come from this area. They were sitting in these trees. If you watch the video, I think it's called Return to the Devil's Bridge. We done it at night, myself and Adventures of Paul. Absolutely knackered. Made our way back through here, and we started hearing noises in this wooded area. Could be peacocks, could be pheasants, that sort of thing. They make a really weird noise when the sun starts to set. We made our way to here, and it just glanced some eyes, and they just seemed to follow us through the wooded area here. And we got to this point and I started filming them, and you could see, as you looked at the trees, little sets of eyes looking at you. Pretty quirky. Don't know what it is, so you can simply put it down as being unexplained. As I said, again, one of them monks. This isn't an illusion, this is on camera. Okay guys, welcome to the Devil's Home. These were your training trenches used. There's plenty of locations throughout the country. I didn't even know these places existed until you look online, but this used to have approximately 8 miles of trenches for the troops to train in before going into combat in the likes of the Somme. There's approximately 500 metres of these left remaining. They get deeper further over the back there, which I'll walk through in a bit. At least 50% of these guys never made it home. I guess there's many of you guys out there that have relatives in one form or other, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, uncles. Some probably never came back. Some would have fought in the Second World War. Like my grandfather, he wasn't on the French area. He started off, they trained him in mountain warfare, and they sent him up and down the cliffs of Dover for about 6 months. And then of course, being the British Army, what did they do? They sent him to North Africa in the desert. So he fought his way through the desert alongside the likes of your desert rats, and then when that campaign was near enough complete, they sent him to Italy at a notorious place called Monte Cassino. Now that was on the side of a mountain, huge monastery. The Allies bombed it repeatedly for months, and they thought, okay, this should be an easy take. Go up the side of a mountain, take the remaining German and the other troops, the likes of you Italians and probably Turkish, but they were well dug in, and so that took a good couple of years of battling through harsh winters, trench warfare, hand-to-hand combat with bayonets. I know me grandfather's unit, he was in the Buffs originally, and he was recorded as missing in action. They found him in a hospital, and his entire unit was pretty much wiped out. So he then joined up with, I believe it was the Royal Fusiliers, and he went back into combat alongside the Polish, and they took Monte Cassino. And then during that time he was blown up in a bunker, I think, round by a train station, and he had horrendous shrapnel wounds. He also had a bayonet wound on his arm from arm-to-arm combat with a German commando, and he come back, bit of shell shock, etc., and after that spent the rest of the World War II as a personal bodyguard to Winston Churchill. I'm not sure what sort of area it would have been, but yeah, that was his story. From then on, when the war finished, because of his training and no work about, he used to be a window cleaner on the big high-rises in London, and in their lunchtime would abseil down the side, and that's where he met my gran, who was, I can't remember what she had, they both ended up working for the Metropolitan Police, and he ended up being a paint and decorator. And his job then was to, when the police would go and kick a door in, or the crime scene would have finished with what they were doing, he would then be in charge of going in and redecorating the place, putting doors back on hinges, etc. One of the most notorious, I think he had to go to the place that the infamous Dennis Nilsson done his crimes, and he had to clean up after that, which must have been horrendous. This place hidden in plain sight. If you just want to come out and have a walk around the wooded area, look for the tennis courts adjacent to Ashridge College, and you are going to find this, which is abandoned. It is what they would call an ice house, a Victorian era type fridge. So basically what you would have in here, you can see they've sealed it for, well, not sealed it, they've put a padlock on it. This is for safety reasons, because there is a very large pit at the back. What will happen is they would scoop up the ice that would settle on the pond, which was a natural fish pond, and they would dump it down there, and they would keep wine, cheese, meats, etc. in here. This is the sort of thing that people that have I'd say wealth of that era would have. This isn't your common man sort of type stuff, but that is a deep welled pit area, which probably goes down at least 30, possibly 40 feet. You've got a winch there at the top, which I probably would have put a bucket in. And yeah, that's how they would have kept things cold back in the Victorian era. It is in fascinating, unique and great condition. Bit of moss on the outside here, bricked with concrete and flint on the outside of it. No graffiti. So anyone who does want to come down here, please stick by that, because you don't want to ruin something like this. This is stunning. Animals could probably take shelter in there from a storm, etc. But what a fascinating find. And it comes under, I guess, urban. It's abandoned for sure. That's beautiful.